Okay, we're back. So, part two, I talked last time about the idea that um, cognitive architecture provides a layer of heuristics or rules on top of language model interactions. It's actually more than that. Cognitive architecture is also applying memory layers to the language model interaction. And memory is the chat memory, the history of what we're talking about. And that's something I'm sure everyone's familiar with from ChatGPT. It remembers you, it knows kind of what you talked about. That's where we get these self disclosures. And I call that semantic memory, meaning rule based or logical memory. There's also working memory, which is the short term memory of the system. So that's what's happening in this chat. So when you have a working memory, you can store everything. We can store the entire history of the chat within a limited time frame, maybe 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever you want to store. But when you get into longer term storage, you don't want to store the entire chat log for a number of reasons. Primarily because it's a lot of data and it's hard to filter through, and there might be stuff in here that's not relevant or that's time based and it's only relevant for a short amount of time, and you don't want to pull all that every single time. So that's when we get into semantic memory, which is the facts and disclosures. I like pizza. I live in Snoqualmie, etc. And you can also have what's called episodic memory. That would be summaries of the conversation history. So that would be something that said, like, hey, on June 1st, Mary ordered a large pizza. And she wanted to learn more about signature pizzas, and she wanted to create her own with pineapple. She really likes pineapple. Great. That's it. That I would call that episodic memory. And then the last memory layer is called procedural memory. And that's where we look at what were all of the rules and strategies that we used in the response layer, and how did that work out to get to a goal? In this case, the goal that I'm trying to work towards is taking an order. And I say I, but really I'm instructing the LLM to work towards this goal of taking an order. As we're doing that, I might find that particular classifications and their combined response strategy are associated more strongly with working towards that order, getting to a final order. I can use something called reinforcement learning to tell the system which rules worked in which kinds of scenarios. And that's where you get into procedural memory, or the set of rules and logic that you use. Another way I use procedural memory is through goals, and I'm going to talk about that in another video. But yeah, so part two of cognitive architecture are memory layers, and most cognitive architectures are going to have module memory layers. Here we have working memory, which is the conversation history. We have semantic memory, which are facts and disclosures about the users. We have episodic memory, which are summaries of conversations, and we have procedural memory, which are the rules and processes that worked to get to a specific goal.